Alrighty, let's do this thing. Coffee, tablet, sign. I'm here. I'm ready. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Thursday, August 15th, 2019. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Good coffee. All right. Well, let's see. What was yesterday? Yesterday was Wednesday. What did I do? I gotta fix this. It's being slightly out of angle. There we go. That's what I want. Just did a bunch of work. Talked to some people. Had some calls. Oh, yeah. Had my conference call where we started working on this new whistlekick digital product that is just it's gonna be great. We've been doing a lot of stuff and moving into a lot of stuff for school owners. We've got a lot of stuff for participants, and so now we're, as we have that that's not under control, as we get that under control, as we roll out new products, as we get that developed, that part of the business feels pretty solid. So we're starting to look at more ideas for things that we can do for school owners. We've got a co-branding, an apparel co-branding program in beta right now. That's really fun. First two schools we partnered with as tests, it went phenomenal, and so we've got a few more that we're bringing on. I gotta do some mock-ups for what they're looking for today. Might not happen today. Today's crazy, but I'll do those soon. And then this other thing, honestly, this is one of those things that I can't talk about, which I know is frustrating to people who watch. I get feedback. People are, no, we want to know. We hate not knowing, but sorry. So, yeah. So what's going on today? Today, cat, stop clawing the carpet. Meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings. I think it's all consulting related. Zuza, hey, stop clawing the carpet. The cat walks around with her toenails out and it just digs in the carpet. She's doing it for attention and it drives me crazy. And she knows it drives me crazy. She has plenty of things she can scratch her toenails on and does. Anybody want a really old cat? Comes free with lots of cat toys. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't give her up. She's a pain in the butt, but she's mine. So, let's talk about martial arts. Let's answer some of the questions that some of you wrote in. I appreciate it. If you want to ask a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. All right. August 15th, 2019, that's today, is National Relaxation Day. What is your favorite way to relax? This is actually a very difficult question to answer. I'm not good at relaxing. Usually a movie or TV, just something. I need to have enough work done that I cannot feel guilty about not working. And as long as that is the case, to sit on the couch and just not do anything is pretty great. I also really enjoy projects, lower, just something, doing something that really doesn't matter, like cleaning the car, or working on my motorcycle, or putting Legos together. Just something that is mindless, and I'll usually put music on in the background just to be there and just kind of veg out and have something for my hands to do. That's kind of the other thing I'll do. Relaxation is important. It's not something I'm good at. Do you think meditation should relax or invigorate us? Yes. Either one. Depends on what you need. So for me, I have a hard time getting invigorated. I have a hard time relaxing. So when I meditate, I'm looking for relaxation. But meditation absolutely could probably not hype you up, but you could come away feeling energized, ready for something. Probably not going to meditate before a competition or a fight, but maybe that's your personality. Different people do things differently. I could see meditation before training as invigorating, and meditation after training as sedative. Hey, enough. What is it about attending martial arts classes that helps people unwind during difficult times? I think it's the fact that you have to focus on so many things. You have to focus on your body, you have to listen to instruction, you have to be aware of other people that are around you. There isn't a lot of mental space for thinking about things that are going on outside. If you're not paying attention, you could get hurt, or at the very least, your instructor is probably going to point it out. Like, hey, you're not paying attention. And that can be embarrassing, so people do tend to focus. So to have a place that you can go where nobody's talking about their problems, you're not expected to talk about yours, and just worry about something else can be really nice. It doesn't mean that that problem's going away, but to be able to set it down for an hour or two or however long, and then pick it back up, I think is really beneficial. It can give you clarity. Physiologically, it can be really beneficial. I like meditation as part of martial arts. I think it's something that's really helpful. I grew up meditating before and after class. It was part of our class structure. And now it is part of what I do when I put on my uniform. And I use that generic term because I train in different schools that call it different things. But when I put that on, I'll close my eyes and take 10 deep breaths and just let everything go. And just open myself up to having a great class, to learning a lot and just enjoying it. And that's been really helpful. Meditation doesn't have to be complicated. A lot of people act like it has to be complicated. It doesn't. All right. Got one more question here. Why should people train in martial arts instead of doing the classical sports? Why do you think people should continue to train in martial arts while participating in sports? I'm constantly battling this with members and students. So this is coming from a martial arts instructor, someone who runs a school. Oh, what's this? So Daniel says, I do like it when you answer my questions before I ask them. I was about to ask what that pre-class meditation looked like. The structured thing that we used to do involved, this was a karate class, traditional karate class, and we would sit in zazen, kneeling, feet crossed, and eyes closed, and wasn't terribly long. 15, 20, 30 seconds, maybe as long as a minute. Probably varied based on what the instructor's need was that day, their own personal need for meditation. And then at the end of class, it was generally shorter. I like meditation. I think it's good. It's something that honestly I want to do more of, but I do not do more of. And I should. All right, so that other question, let's bring that back. Martial arts versus sports. Why should people train in martial arts instead of sports, or both? Okay, so if you're a school owner, you have lost students to soccer and other sports. So it can be really frustrating. But one of the challenges is that, well, there are a lot of challenges. There are a tremendous number of challenges. We've talked about a bunch of them on Martial Arts Radio. By the way, there's a new episode of Martial Arts Radio out, which is it's not going to be there. Episode 423, which is when do you deserve a black belt? And this was actually, I had somebody write in, they had a question, and they were struggling with whether or not they deserved a black belt. And so we had what we jokingly called a martial arts therapy session. We did it, and we recorded it, and it went really well. So check that out. That's right here on YouTube, episode 423. So we've done episodes where we talk about the reasons that people lose students to sports. Part of it is it's what their friends are doing, being part of a team dynamic. A lot of people struggle with the idea of doing something that has no definable endpoint. Martial arts is going all the time. It's always there, which is part of it. It's necessary, but it's also, it can be overwhelming for some people. This is why you see a lot of people achieve certain ranks. You know, black belt is the most commonly discussed. They achieve a black belt and then they stop because they've achieved their goal. We're in, at least in the United States, very goal-oriented. So one of the things, so Sensei DJ, if you have not checked out the episode that I did with Sensei Jared Wilson on teens in the martial arts, I think you should check out that episode, because in that episode, we talk about a lot of things that I think would be really helpful to this, even if it's not just issues with teenagers leaving. So just for those of you watching, listening later, there are a couple things from that episode that I'll talk about now. The first one is making sure children, teenagers have their own space, their own time. To be 13, 14 years old, you don't feel like you belong with the young kids. You know, to train side by side with the 7-year-old can feel weird, and to train side by side with a 40-year-old can feel really weird. Your experiences and your physical bodies are in such completely different places. And I remember what that felt like. I observe now in a lot of schools where someone will, you know, turn 10, 11, and they don't quite belong in the kids class anymore, but they don't belong in the adult class. They don't have the focus ready or the proprioception, the body awareness for the adult class, but the kids class is focused on a younger group that doesn't really work for them. I know of a couple schools that have teenager-specific classes, and they've seen a lot of success with that. So I think that's the first thing to consider, is making sure that if you're trying to stem the flow of people leaving martial arts to go participate in what you called classical sports, then you have to look at all the reasons that they're leaving. They're leaving to be with their friends. They're leaving because it gives them a sense of belonging. And you need to cultivate an environment that does as much of that for them as possible. And of course, that can be really hard. but that's what you're looking at doing. Um, the other thing that you might consider is how can martial art, if they're choosing sports over martial arts, how can you keep them involved in martial arts at all? And one of the ideas that Sensei Jared and I kicked around that I really like is a, let's say, junior high to high school, a 12 or 13 to 18-year-old class, teenager class, that does away with uniforms and belts and a lot of the formality and teaches martial arts for the sole purpose of helping them with their sports. I don't think anybody's going to argue that the benefits of martial arts carry over into other things. So if you had a 45 or a 60-minute class where you were teaching martial arts so they could get better at sports, it's going to do a couple things. One, it's going to bring new people into the school, which is always good. Two, it's a revenue stream, which is good. Three, for some people, they're going to find, hey, I really like this martial arts stuff. I want to participate in it more actively. So you may get some that carry over or stick around, however you want to look at it. I don't know anybody running a program like this. The teen classes that I know of are traditional martial arts classes. But I suspect that this would work really well. I don't think it would take too long to meet up with all the coaches and say, hey, we've got this program. You run that program year round. Martial arts skills for high schools, for school sports, whatever you want to call it. And you run it year round and make sure that the coaches know about it. And, these classes become part of their, preseason. Do you want to come sit with me? You're being particularly annoying today. Come here. What's your damage? I think she's just feeling neglected. I'm kind of searching for my words on this next piece. I'm probably going to do an episode on martial arts versus sports, because it's the subject's similar to that teen class, that teenager episode that we did, but it's not the same. Where are you going? You gonna lay down? Lay down. I feel pretty strongly that you need to make sure people have a positive view of martial arts. If someone is looking to leave your school and you make them feel badly about that decision, they'll never come back. But if you wish them well and let them know that the door is always open, and maybe a few times a year you give them a call or an email or a letter. By the way, if you're a school and you don't have a program for bringing past students back, you should. If you wish them well, then they may come back. It might be years. I see people in my Taekwondo school now. My instructor's been teaching there for a long time. And he's teaching third generations now. Grandchildren of people that he once taught. That's really cool. The families have fond memories of their time training. And once in a while, they'll come in. They'll come in, they'll drop the kid off and say, I miss this. I'm gonna come back to class. It's not everybody, it's not even most people, but it happens sometimes. And remember what our jobs are as martial arts instructors. What are we supposed to do? We're helping people out. And sometimes people get what they need in a relatively short period of time. 6, 12 months? Would you rather have that student come in for that time or not at all? So I know it's frustrating. I know it stinks when you recognize that the martial arts class you provide is going to do far more for someone long term than, running track. But if they're more engaged in running track, then that's what they need right then. And the other thing I would say is, if people are choosing things over your classes, fight back. Not literally. But find a way to make your classes so amazing and compelling that no one's choosing anything else over those, over your classes. There are things you can do. Yeah. Those are great questions. And I appreciate having questions like that. Gives me something to think about. Gives you all something to think about. Right, Kat? You want to say hi? Detach. She looks so unhappy, but she's actually purring. All right. Homework coming in a second. Real quick. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Ask questions. Please ask questions. If you're listening later on in audio form via some podcast app, and we are on all of them, you can email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com, and ask your question that way. I do the show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m., 6:32 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. But it's also available at firstcoupletjeremy.com. Go check out episode, 423 of Martial Arts Radio. And now for your homework. Okay. So, relaxation, meditation. Relaxation doesn't have to be meditation. It can be anything. One of the things that many of us struggle with is taking time to relax, finding that place. A lot of us equate relaxation with personal time. I do that. If I'm doing something that's not work related, it's relaxation. That's not true. And this is why I have a vacation coming up. Because it's not the same. There are things that relax your mind, like when I go to the gym and work out. Or when I train. These are mentally and emotionally relaxing, but they're not physically relaxing. I can sit on the couch and watch TV. That's physically relaxing, but if I'm not being good about putting aside my thoughts, I'm not getting that kind of relaxation. You need both kinds. And ideally, you need both kinds at the same time. So finding those things, like I said, working on my car, motorcycle, listening to music, honestly, cleaning, I find very relaxing if I'm in the right mood. Gardening can be really relaxing for me, depending on the weather and what I'm doing. I think it's important to make relaxation a priority. Find some time. Make sure there's time in every week, ideally every day. Even if it means, if you're a family person and you come home, even if it means sitting in the car with it parked, listening to one more song, and just sitting there and enjoying that moment before you go inside. I know people that do that, by the way. I didn't just make that up. To carve out those little spaces of relaxation, make everything else you do better. And it's important to do that. So I want you to find your relaxation options. What are the things that relax you? And make sure you work them into your day. Have something that you can do in just a couple minutes, like listening to the song in the car. Have something that takes a little bit longer that you can plan ahead and look forward to. You need both kinds. So I hope you have a phenomenal day. I will see you back here tomorrow for Friday's episode. Take care. Peace.